Bill 52 adopts the County of Hawaii Kau Community Development Plan, CDP. The Windward Planning Commission forwards its favorable recommendation for the adoption of the Kau CDP. The CDP program is established by the county's general plan to create a framework for residents and other stakeholders to participate in regional planning for their communities. The planning area for the Kau CDP encompasses most of Judicial District 9 surrounding Ocean View, Waiohinu, Na'alehu, and Pahala. Reference Communication 351, introduced by Ms. David by request, first reading September 20th, 2017.
Councilmember David.
Mahalo, Chair, and mahalo, Director Yee, for being here this morning, and Deputy Director, and also April Supernet. I would like to just say thank you again to the testifiers who have faithfully showed up to support this important piece of legislation, and also expressing that their desire that we approve Bill 52 in its present form without any amendments. I think we've had a lot of discussion about this bill, pros and cons. I appreciate everybody's viewpoints, everybody's positions and concerns, but I think we have deliberated this to a degree that I think I'm still very much comfortable in moving forward. I believe that, I still believe strongly that this document in its current form needs no amendments at this time. I stand by that very strongly. And I think I would like to reiterate that the support and advice that I've had with the Planning Department and discussions with Corporation Counsel only validates my position, my strong position to support this document as is. So I would ask that my fellow council members continue to support this this very meaningful document as is, and ask for your continued support in adoption of this of the KAU CDP. And I do also note, and I want to thank Corporation Counsel for the communication that I believe we all received this morning. And so I won't belabor this anymore, except to just ask for your continued support based on the recommendations of the Corporation Counsel that we just received, that this body may adopt the KAU CDP as written without amendments, and that this KAU CDP is supported by the Misler decision and the county's general plan. So based on that, I really appreciate everybody's continued support, and I will yield at this time. Mahalo.
Thank you, Councilwoman David. Though I thoroughly enjoy working with you and agree that this is a great document as a planning tool, has been articulated by our planning department, I have to respectfully disagree about needing an amendment. And I do have an amendment coming forward, and before I present that, I just want to give some context. We have discussed this at great length, and I don't think that in our conversation I would argue that this is the will and this is the express desires of much of the community. And I can't say all of the community because I have received communications from others. My concern has been articulated several times, both by planning, both by our corporate counsel, that this is truly a planning tool and not a mandate. Yet language within the CDP seems contrary to that. And in the communication, I'm sorry this is stamped, but I don't have a communication number on it, but it's the one we received from corporate counsel this morning. I had asked our corp counsel to have a review of it and give an opinion as far as whether or not this is mandated. Yeah, do we have a number? We don't have a number. 351.9.
No, he's still the Kamehameha.
The Kamehameha communication. So it's 351.9 from Mr. Kamehameha.
It's not numbered, but we have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In there, I specifically asked the question, is this planning or is this statutory? Is this binding? And the conclusion, as you see on page 3, is that it is not binding. That being said, when I go back and I read through the CDP, and I have spent hours reading and rereading this, as an articulation, if we look to policy 10, it mandates on page 40 that the planning director hands are bound by, can only give a favorable approval if it agrees with the CDP. And so in my mind, that is a mandatory, not a planning document. So with that, and as it has been explained to us, and as we all understand, but I don't think is well articulated in the CDP, that this is a planning tool. And I think it's an invaluable planning tool because it expresses the concerns and the wishes of the community as a whole. And everyone on the council knows that I love Ka'u. Ka'u is like a second home for me. I've spent a tremendous amount of time down there. That being said, when we're planning and making plans for the future, we're not just planning about our future, we're planning about next generation, next generation, next generation. And that's what I think about. And if we tie the hands with a community development plan that amends code, and though we're told it doesn't in this plan, but if it amends code, we're not going through the process that we've all agreed to function under. And as, if probably not more important, if there's any new mention of new potential code, that's not covered. So I offer the amendment, which is 351.7.
Yes, I'm speaking against this amendment. And I think, Mr. Richards, I don't know, maybe you weren't around back in 2000, or not that you weren't around, but you weren't listening to the discussion about the purpose of having community development plans for each district. But it was and continues to be a very collaborative process, community-based, and a lot of time, money, people's hours, staff hours. For each community, there's been a very long and drawn-out concerted effort to adopt a community development plan. Now, my understanding is that it is adopted by ordinance. It is a planning tool. There are provisions in it that are legally binding if they have a shall, and the most of it is just a directive and a planning tool, not completely legally enforceable. So there's wiggle room within the document itself, and we were told several times about the Ka'u CDP that all of those things were taken into consideration, and it was very carefully drafted so that the shalls that are legally binding were not in any way conflicting with code. So at this time, I don't see why we would try and adopt it in any different manner than we've adopted the previous CDPs, which all have exactly the same language. They are adopted by reference, and they state the geographical area that they cover, and that's it. And that's how we should be adopting this plan at this time. That's my stand. Thank you.